Forgive yourself. Forgive yourself for any time that you have ever showed up to life or to your relationship with your child as a version of yourself that was not your favorite. Forgive yourself. Let it go. And do that 5 billion times if you have to. Because as long as you are alive, as long as you are breathing, consistency, commitment, and devotion looks like consistently coming back to your favorite version of yourself. That's it. It doesn't look like being perfect at it 24/7. It doesn't look like being triggered and not accepting that or acknowledging that. It doesn't look like condemning and judging your humanity, condemning and judging the emotions you have and feel, which if you weren't supposed to have or feel, you would not have or feel them, right? So commitment, consistency, and devotion on the path of using parenthood strategically to help us get more skilled at following our heart moment to moment, to get more skilled at peaceful communication, to get more skilled at co-creating our life and our bond with our child from the frequency, vibration, and energy of our preference, does not look like beating ourselves up for being human. It does not look like being perfect at operating from our most favorite version of ourselves moment to moment 24/7. It looks like consistently and committing to coming back to that as often as you can throughout the day. But in order to do that, there are two main things that we have to do from my own experience. Take all of this with a grain of salt, only take what resonates as usual. But there are two core things that we have to be willing to do in order to more consistently show up to life and to our children each day as our favorite version of ourselves. And that is number one, know who you are. Know your favorite version of yourself. Know that version of yourself. Consistently make it a point to be in tune with and be aware of how the version of your favorite version of you is perceiving a scenario or a situation, right? For many, many years, we have been conditioned and programmed to respond to life from other people's versions of themselves. So the people who raised you, society, right? Most of which, a lot of which, don't really take the time to find out or acknowledge or give the time and space to their own favorite version of themselves, right? Most of us for many, many generations have been reacting to life just the exact same way we've been seeing other people react to life for many years. Right? So when you become a parent and you're like, okay, I'm about to, I don't know what's going on, but I want to show up for my child as the most empowered version of myself, as my most peaceful version of myself, right? But when you start on that path and you start to really give more awareness to the patterns and habits that come up that are not reflective of that choice, and you choose to let them go, and you choose to show up more and more from the version of yourself that is your favorite and feels most true, you also have to be ready to not care what other people think, because that can look very weird and odd to other people who are expecting you to spank your child, beat your teenager, fight with your teenager physically, emotionally, mentally. Being your favorite version of yourself can oftentimes end up being the very thing that helps you drop the patterns of codependency and caring what other people think, right? But it's worth it, right? So one of the core things that you can do to help yourself more consistently show up as your favorite version of yourself in parenthood is to first get to know who that version of yourself is. Give yourself permission to create that version of yourself just by becoming more aware of how you prefer to respond to life and your child, right? And of course, not caring what other people think as you give yourself time to transmute, hold space for your emotions, and consciously and intentionally choose to show up from that version of you. That's your preference, right? The second thing, which is for me like huge, that helps you really experience more peace in parenthood and show up as your favorite version of yourself more consistently throughout the day, is forgiveness. But a term that's my favorite as far as forgiveness is concerned is letting go, a constant letting go, right? And starting with your past, letting go of every moment in your past that you have reacted to your child or life from a version of yourself that was not your preference. Letting go. Oh, Michelle, but you don't know about that thing that I did back. I don't care. Let it go. Let it go. It's okay. It's okay to let it go. And if you do something in 5 minutes that is not reflective of your favorite version of yourself, let it go. Let it go. As long as you are alive, you have the ability to show up again as your preference. Let it go. Don't let the past be a burden that's constantly on your shoulders, negatively affecting how you show up in the moment. Don't let the past weigh you down. Also, if a child is born into an environment or a society where they are taught to ignore their intuition, to trust other people more than they trust themselves, and when they grow up in a society where they are constantly being told by many different people how they should be, what they should do, etc., if they are constantly taught from their environment to use force and fear to get what they want, to react the way that unconsciously the way that most of the people around them have reacted to life unconsciously, and from fear and from anger and from rage and hate, what is there really to forgive? What are we forgiving here? We're forgiving the infant that grew to be a toddler, that grew to be a teen, that grew to be an adult in a society and an environment that was promoting unconsciousness, unconscious, unhealthy behaviors. And we're forgiving that child for growing up? No. What? So instead, just let it all go. It's like, damn, I learned all of the stuff that I don't want to bring into my relationship with my child. I learned it. And by grace, I have the awareness that I don't want to perpetuate it anymore. So actually, I have a lot to be grateful for. Because by grace, somehow, some way, something happened that made me realize that I do not want to continue certain patterns and habits with my child. By grace. Because I don't even know where this desire came from to show up as a more empowered and peaceful version of myself moment to moment. Forgiveness? Forgiveness of what? No, just let it go. You learned these things. You learned to show up as versions of yourself that were not your favorite. Every time it happens, let it go. And give yourself permission to know yourself more deeply and to show up as your favorite version of yourself. Give yourself permission to rest as, to be moment to moment your favorite version of you. The more you get to know yourself in this way, the more you love yourself. And there is no end to that love. Therefore, there is no end to creating from that love. There is no end to giving and receiving from that love. So, are you willing to let go all day long, moment to moment, every time you show up as a version of yourself that's not your favorite? Are you willing to let go of that and to continue onward and upward as your favorite version of yourself? Getting to know yourself and love yourself more deeply moment to moment? Your child is your guide.